lot of learnings that you have to do. What are the improvements that you want to do in this match?
Yeah, so there's two areas. Firstly, the top six. We'd like to see, after what we had some good starts, we'd like to see some of the senior players in there actually take that on and take the score deep for us. I mean, to put a challenging score on the board for India to chase. So we need to take responsibility for doing that. And then in the bowling department, it's a constant work, and we see how India exploit the conditions when they're out in the field. We have to try and replicate that, and obviously keep the pressure on the Indian bowlers all the time, on the Indian batsmen all the time. So they're the two areas that we're seeking to improve.
Well, how do you look forward to the third match of the series, 2-0 down? So how do you look forward to tomorrow's game?
We are very much looking forward to it. Obviously, we'd like to be 1-1 here, but that's not to be. So we have to look at this as another opportunity to firstly learn. Obviously, we have a World Cup coming up, so what can we take out of the experience, which has been superb so far for our young players out there and some of the senior ones. But equally, we want to win. I mean, we're here to play good cricket. We're here to win, and that's the attitude that we'll show tomorrow.
And another question to you. What kind of a difference has Umran Malik has made to this Indian bowling attack? Because you don't see a genuine Indian quick that often.
Well, I think he's bowled superb. I mean, you watch, he can change a game. When he comes in, the pace makes batsmen do strange things at times. And being an ex-fast bowler, I do enjoy watching fast bowlers work. I think the areas that he's bowled, he's hit a length hard. He used the wobble seam beautifully and used his bouncer really well as well. So I think we can learn a lot from watching these guys.
Hi Chris.
Hi.
So this is a question about like Sri Lankan spinners. Like when you compare them with Indian spinners, I think they've been a little less effective in this track. So like, do you think there is a larger issue that Sri Lankan spinners are not being able to match their performances in 2020 matches when compared to ODIs? Like, I mean, is there any area of improvement that you see?
I think spin for Sri Lanka in the T20s has been a strength of theirs for a long time. Obviously, people will have bad days every now and again, but equally we can't lose sight that the spin in our T20 teams has been a strength of ours, and it will continue to be a strength, and we'll continue to back these players to win us games of cricket. I think equally in 50-over cricket, it's obviously there's more time in there. They have to learn to hold their lengths. So it's a different type of skill set. But equally, we have some very good spinners who will benefit from this experience. When they come back for the World Cup, they will know what lengths to bowl, know what lengths they have to, or what lines they have to hold, and they will be richer for it. So I think that's what we've got to look at, and just keep again progressing our players through. Because quite rightly, you said if you put them on paper, the experience within that Indian batting lineup in particular is immense. So we have to give them a lot of respect, but equally we have to push them hard as well. And I think that's one positive we can take from the last game is in the field trying to defend what was a low score. We kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and that's something that I asked for them. Find a way in, find a way of taking wickets, and let's push these as hard as we can. So I thought we did that last game.
Like, yeah, I mean, can we expect some changes, and especially in the bowling department?
You'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I think it's definitely a work on. There's no point hiding away from that. One of the things, as I've already said, is the top six have to get us runs, and we have to find a way of consistently putting big scores on the boards. And sometimes it's just encouraging the batsmen to free their minds, to set the ceiling higher and to think bigger, but to have the confidence to go do that as well. And that's the type of environment we're trying to create. We want the players to express themselves, and we want the players to go out there and score big, individually score big runs. But as a group, post big totals, but we have to encourage them to do that, and we have to be brave enough to do that as well.
You just mentioned the two mistakes that you had to rectify is one about the top six in batting, and the second is the putting pressure on the Indian batsmen, right? But taking into consideration the last two ODIs, the economy rate of the bowlers has been immense, like about 7 or 8 in fact. So what are the measures that you're trying to take for the third ODI? Any one step that you want to implement?
Well, let's just, if we look at the last ODI, for one, we had no option but to attack. So naturally the economy rates are going to be high because we had to get wickets. We had no option than to attack and try and get them, because we were never going to defend 215 in 50 overs. We were never going to run it down to 50. So we had to, how do we get wickets? And sometimes that costs you runs. So I have no problem with that. The first game, we didn't hold the line and length well enough, especially in the first 10. India got off to a flyer, and then to pin that batting lineup back is very, very difficult once it has momentum. But the learning for us, again, and I've mentioned this, learning from the Indian bowlers, is hitting the length hard on a good line constantly, and then having a good slower ball and a good bouncer. So how can we train those skills into our bowlers so we can replicate that and be successful in these conditions? The fact is that is still a work on for us. We have to recognise that, embrace it, and just get better. And that comes through practice and obviously playing and putting ourselves in that situation where we can try and put that right.
Do you see the ground is too dry and fielding also with no grass? So do you think it's a easy play for Lankan bowlers?
Sorry, can you repeat that for me?
It's a dry pitch,
Yes.
and outfielding also no grass, less grass. So do you think Lankan bowlers too easy play in this ground?
I think obviously if he does offer a little bit of assistance, I think we have the bowlers to exploit that, but equally so do India. So I think it'll be a good contest. I want to see us as a bowling unit get into that contest and compete. That's a big thing around, because I think on any given day we have the ability to beat people. We know that, and I have every confidence in our guys that we can go out there and on our day, as we've seen in the past, we can beat India. But we have to be on our game. It's as simple as that. India are very tough to beat in their own conditions. So we have to be on our game tomorrow.
And Chris, your thoughts on the younger guys that you brought along who done rather well on this tour, the younger guys, what are your thoughts on that? And another question is, how do you look back at your tenure so far with Sri Lankan team?
Yeah, talking about the young guys on tour so far, I think we saw one very good young talent come through in the last game, open the batting, and showed us the skills he have. I thought he played the fast bowling as well as I've seen anybody play fast bowling so far, so I was really pleased with him. And like I say, he's an exciting young talent coming through. Will Allegay, again, we've seen him come through the under-19s. We saw him play against Australia in Sri Lanka, and we've seen that, again, we've got a very exciting young talent there. And we have others behind the scenes as well, so it's a case of just trying to bring them through, give them exposure, let them learn, and invest in them for the future, and give them the confidence to grow. From personal point of view, so far, really enjoyed my time in Sri Lanka. I've got a good coaching staff. More importantly, I've got a very keen set of players that are eager to learn and are open-minded to new ideas and trying different things, which is superb. As a coach, you can't ask for more than that, and I'm really enjoying my time.
Chris here. So basically, you are saying that you want your players to push that little bit extra in the games. Do you think you've got a great example in your skipper who has been outstanding throughout in both the T20Is and the ODIs? And do you think there's a case to push him up the order a bit?
Yeah, it's certainly something we've talked about. Could we get Dasson to number 5? I think it's a fairly good argument at some point that we could have and a strong discussion. But the great thing I've enjoyed about Dasson so far is on this tour, he's led by example. From a batting perspective, he's played in a way that is selfless. He's taken risks at the right time, and he's got the rewards for doing that. But more importantly, he's played in the sort of way that we want guys to follow as well. I want the guys to be positive. I want them to attack. I want the batters to have the freedom that if the ball's there, they hit it. And I want them to feel that they're in an environment that's safe enough that they can take that on with no fear. And Dasson has played in that respect. So from a captain's point of view, I think he's led well so far in that respect. And I expect him to carry that on. And I think the fact that he's got that freedom, we're seeing the results with him at the moment. And I'm sure there's plenty of IPL teams now are opening their minds up to actually Dasson maybe joining one of them, because he's done very well, really well. He showed us what he can do.
Chris, what's the injury update on Pathum Nissanka? Is available for tomorrow?
No, Pathum won't be available. We've got the scan reports back in now, so the medics are looking at that, but he's very doubtful for tomorrow. Thank you very much.
ഏറ്റവും പുതിയ വാർത്തകളും വിശേഷങ്ങളും അതിവേഗത്തിൽ അറിയാൻ Zee Malayalam News ആപ്പ് ഡൗൺലോഡ് ചെയ്യൂ, സന്ദർശിക്കൂ www.zeemalayalamnews.com.